So as you can see, we've created our workspace here. We have a 12-inch by 12-inch material size. And you can see that the reference point is set at 0, 0, just exactly the way we did set this up when we set up the project. The other thing that you'll notice is that to the left of our workspace and across the top are all of the various tools that you have available to you in ArtCAM Express. A couple of things to notice. One of them is that each of these are categorized. So the tools are sort of in common sections. For example, here's vector editing tools, here's vector creation tools, here's bitmap tools, and so on. So they're categorized in sort of common functions. The other thing that you'll notice is that they're separated. So each of these sections is separate from each other. And along the left-hand side, for example, of this fill tools section, you see this little dotted line. They all have this little dotted line either above or to the left of each of the tool sections. That allows me to actually move this and move it anywhere I want. So if I move my cursor over that dotted line, left click and drag this, I can move this fill tool section over here. If I want to bring vector creation tool section over here, maybe I want to bring vector editing up here. So I can customize the screen to basically look any way that I want. If I want to bring tools closer to my workspace to make it more convenient, then I can do so. In fact, if I want, I can actually delete some of these. As you see, I've just deleted these 3. And over on the right hand side, for example, you see this project pane here. You see that I have the ability to delete that as well. So while I'm designing my project, I may not need the project pane, although I will need it later when we go to start making toolpaths. But perhaps for now I don't really need that at all. So I just click on it and delete it. Now the problem, of course, lies that at some point we'll want to get these tools back on our screen for some, maybe we need to make use of one of those tools. There's a couple of ways we can do that. First, over here on the top right hand corner, you see this gray area where my cursor is pointed. If I right click there, you'll see that my project pane, for example, is not checked off. If I just check it off, you'll see the project pane once again reappears. The other problem is sometimes I delete something inadvertently and I don't even know what I've deleted. If that's the case, I can very simply go to Window, Reset Layout. We use the standard layout, which is the way it comes by default from ArtCAM. And you'll see that everything gets restored back to the way it was when we started. Now, a couple other things to notice. One is that as I move my cursor over each one of these tools, you'll see that I get a little flyout that tells me what that tool is going to do. And it's a good idea when you're looking for a tool to just allow the tool to just dwell over each of these tools just for half a second, and it will give you an explanation of what the tool is about to do. And most of them are fairly self-explanatory. The other thing that you'll notice is that some of these tools actually have a little cursor in the bottom right-hand corner, a little arrow. And basically what that indicates is that that tool has multiple functions. For example, with this one here, it says joining vectors with a line. Well, if I push and hold that, you'll see that there's actually 4 different functions in that same tool. Joining vectors with a line, joining vectors with a curve, joining vectors by moving ends to a common point, and this one, which is joining vectors with coincident nodes. And so there are several different functions with that tool, but they're all similar, and that's why they are all kind of categorized together. So that's a basic overview of the tools.